And welcome back to part 10 of One of Those Uzumaki clan lived in the leaf. Last time on the Naruto What If in my Dragon Ball Z voice, and I drink my Mr. Meeseeks tea. Last time we had Naruto versus Gaara. Um, which ended with the unsealing slash resealing of the Shikaku and Naruto being completely floored. Like he's got a little bit left in his reserves, but he's tired out at the moment. Which actually, crap, I don't have my let's see, Hinata versus Sakari. Okay, yeah. Which actually means that there's only three people left in this in the finals: Hinata, Naruto, and Sasuke. Of the three of them, Sasuke is actually probably in the best shape. He still had to put out some effort for against Kirishima. His chakra reserves aren't much better than they are in the original, so the using the Chidori as many times as he did was still tiring. But the other one was just used as a threat more than anything else, so he was just able to return the chakra in there. So Sasuke is actually in the best shape. However, I do see them taking a break. The back to back stuff is is one thing, but they can tell it's like, okay, this would not be a fair matchup at the moment, and everyone's at least mildly tired. So basically, what Minato and the third basically decide on is you go, all right. Given the fact there are three left, we are deciding what we'll be deciding the matchups in just a minute. There'll be a 15-minute intermission. So please go get refresh yourselves and well, basically, kind of just an intermission in Naruto. Intermission, here they go. We know you're wishing that he'd stop singing. But the intermission's here, and it's here to stay for 15 minutes. Thank you. I'm here all day. But yeah, so they get a little bit of a break. Naruto even takes one soldier pill just to kind of give him a little bit of an extra boost. Hinata takes one as well, just to be fair. They only take the one. Because it's very much implied about you can get poisoned on those things, or you can get sick and soldier pill poisoning. It's used for a little bit of a chakra boost, which they need, and luckily they get some rest. And Minato the third, they're all basically discussing what to do. Meanwhile, the Kazekage is looking at his son, or has gone to visit his son in the infirmary, and actually is legitimately like looking at Gaara and is wondering, is like, Gaara. Just looking at Gaara, Gaara kind of opens his eyes. Father? Hello, son. And, he takes the head off and you see his dad. And it's like, how are you feeling? Tired. But in a good way. Wait, was I sleeping? What happened? It's like, apparently there was a Maki boy was able to do something we were not able to do. Properly seal the Shikaku inside of you. Tell me, are you hearing his voice anymore? And Gar actually stops and thinks and just, I can hear him, but I can ignore it. If I try, I can ignore him now. And you can just hear Chicago say, "Let me out, damn it! Let me out! I want to kill someone! Come on, mother, do it for mom, do it for mom. You're not my mother. Shut up!" And all of a sudden, like Chicago just goes quiet. Like he's still talking, like he can hear himself, but like Gar can't hear him because they use the proper sealing technique. It's I was asleep. That was nice. And to which, he actually, and to which, oh God, I cannot remember again, I can't remember his actual name, but his father actually looks at him and sees that his son, the Shikaku silhouette, now he's not seeing to be fair, when you're dealing with all that for so long, it would be difficult sometimes maybe to see your son just immediately, but I think he no longer sees just the Shikaku anymore. He sees his son again. He sees the boy that he lost in the sealing process of the Shikaku and, who had been just an unintentional monster all his life. Now he can just see it, and he can see his mother in Gaara too, and he just takes his hands, like, puts on his shoulders, like, rest now, son. I can't, and he kind of actually laughs a little bit. It's like, it's strange. And, I've spent all this time doing the best I can to nurture you into something that you weren't. And it took someone outside of my abilities to truly bring you back to who you were. I'm sorry. And he apologizes to Gaara. And he even says like I can't promise things are going to be as different as they should be, but I will try as the Kazakage and your father. And Gar actually just looks at him and actually for the first time in a little bit has a bit of emotion. It was like, thank you, thanks, Dad. And and he just yawns again. And he actually, I think they both share a laugh. It was like, well, I think for the first time, you actually deserve a good night. You deserve a good night of sleep. And for the first time, I think you're about to get it. And they kind of share a laugh. Like, I wonder what sleeping for a long time is like. It's like, and he tries and I like when either Shikaku is in fanfics I read. When Shikaku is taken out, that Gaara actually becomes a big fan of taking naps. I could complete as someone who very much likes sleeping. I could totally see that as someone being so sleep deprived. The minute they actually get the ability to sleep a lot, they do it. Like I could actually see him giving Shikamaru a run in terms of how much he likes sleeping. But anyway, so time passes, and all right. And so there's two ways I could have gone about this. One, I could have had basically Naruto fight one or the other, because it would be Naruto. He's like the middle match, the middle bracket match. So it would be him either fighting Hinata, then Sasuke, or Sasuke, then Hinata. However, normally we would have, basically what Hayate basically mentions is normally we would have one of you fight the other and then a final match. However, the fourth has decided something a little different here, and fourth thing speaks of it's like it's one thing to be able to for a tuning to be able to take on one opponent at a time, 1-on-1. It's another to be fighting in a completely random situation. That's why this last one will be a 3 or a 1-on-3 or not 1-on-3. But not 1-on-2 either. A 3-way royale. So, and really, it actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If you had a scenario like this, it wouldn't make sense to really just have another match and then someone fight. Because in the Naruto one, you need to prepare for different situations. And this would actually make a lot of sense to just have all three of them fighting each other. And wouldn't you know it, it's Team 7 fighting out. Basically, it's fighting out who's the strongest Team 7 member, albeit none of them are at their strongest. And all three of them go into the ring, and they just kind of say, well, isn't this something? And now we're the last three, huh? Team 7 in the finals. It's like Sasuke, would you expect anything less? And I was like, no, I promise to give you, promise both of you, I will give it everything I've got, as long as you do the same. To which Sasuke and Naruto's like, of course, and wouldn't do anything less, right, Sasuke? just don't cry when I beat both of you. And they both give like the acknowledging smile of friends, comrades, and rivals. And Naruto, Hinata and Sasuke both activate their eyes, whereas Naruto's just getting ready. He's kind of like in a pose. And they basically, go, and they. See, here's the thing. They would not go after Hinata immediately, because they are at least not for hand-to-hand, just due to the fact that both of them are aware that Hinata can take them in hand-to-hand pretty easy with her abilities. And she's actually had the longest time to rest among the three of them. So she's actually probably the most recovered. Although Naruto's chakra reserves are probably, in terms of the brief amount of time he had to recover, probably still greater than both of theirs. He's still probably the most tired, as he had the most recent match. Still, Naruto immediately brings out a couple kunai from some seals. Sasuke gets into his pose and begins to go through some hand signs. Goes fireball jutsu. Hinata and Naruto have to get out of the way. Hinata, however, uses rotation, and then using her chakra kind of launches herself at Sasuke and basically tries to get in close. Meanwhile, Naruto is focusing on doing a couple other tricks of the trade. However, what he didn't see, because he was distracted by the fireball, was that Hinata had basically regained enough chakra, and she has great control to create one clone behind him. And he really automatically sees the clone. Unfortunately, it hits the back of his shoulder, and he basically has to throw the kunai at it. And he's just like, I hope that's a clone. And like, poofs, grabs, hits the clone, and just poof. But now he's like, ugh. Now his chakra's a little funky, definitely. Uh, but he's like, all right, this is gonna take a bit more. He makes a clone. He's able to make at least a couple clones still, but he's struggling now. It's like he can't make as many as I was hoping. A, chakra reserves, and B, now my chakra control is in flux. Um, so he's still able to make three. Tells the clones to hang back, and do their thing. Whereas Naruto's getting into the fray as Sasuke and Hinata are still trying their hardest. Hinata's already starting to like run out of steam pretty quick. Whereas Sasuke, because he has a Sharingan, which is able to have predicted, not be able to see the future, but able to predict movements. He's able to, keep basically out of reach, albeit Hinata is still dangerous enough that he's like, I can't even, I gotta wait till she like chimes or calms down a bit, only for Naruto to come in from the top or from above with the great old fashioned tornado fist. He just suddenly boom blast them apart, and they both get hit. Hinata just boom hits the wall. Well, they don't both hit the wall. They're far enough that they don't hit the wall, but they do probably either hit a rock or a tree or something like that. Probably not that hard though, but enough to be like, oh, and, they get hit, they get hurt a little bit. Sasuke, I was like, just what I was hoping for, and Naruto. Naruto's ready as like, bring it on, Sasuke, as he has a Rasengan in his hand. Sasuke has a Chidori. He's like, let's see which one of ours is really, let's see if that Rasengan really is as strong as they say. And they're about to clash, and everyone, and even the fourth is like, that might not be a good idea. It's like, do I need to step in? He's ready with like, because it's the fourth. I'm sure he's planted Thunder God seals or Thunder God tags, we'll call them, in like the arena if he actually needed to step in. But he can tell they're actually not aiming for each other; they're aiming for the attacks. So they both clash and just boom, and there's a big explosion, and the force of that sends both of them into the wall. Whereas Hinata lucked out and probably only hit a tree, and maybe Sasuke hit a tree or didn't hit anything; he just got blown back. They both hit the wall from that impact. Ooh, and not truly crater it, but definitely left a mark. And they're both like, oh, God. To which now Hinata comes in, and just wondering what she's going to do. Because she can't really close the distance quick enough to take them off guard. So basically it's like a triangle formation. Hinata's like right there, Naruto's right there, Sasuke right there, and they're kind of just facing off, just to which they all basically just charge right at each other. Naruto at this point now, he's done both Tornado Fists, a couple Shadow Clones, a Rasengan. Now he's starting to waver pretty hard. Sasuke's not doing that much better either. He's now used up because he can only use 2, 3 if he pushed it with the curse mark, which he doesn't have in this version. So yeah, he's now tired out. He can't use another Chidori. Naruto got Uzumaki reserves and all that. Might be able to push another Rasengan out, but now he's tired, and Hinata's not doing that much better either. To which, they're about to clash, like, all right, one more time. It's like, they're about to go in and, like, hit each other before Naruto basically sees that, what he was planning was ready. So, he basically just does one minor, he's like, Gale and it's like, huh? And basically, Hinata and Sasuke he ends up clocking her, and she ends up, boom, hitting, and it's like, and they're both like, what, Naruto? Darn it, Naruto. That was sneaky. Sorry, but I can't really afford to get caught in this. It's like, wait, what? And all of a sudden, ninja, I don't know, Uzumaki barrier technique. As the other clone finally appeared on the other side, and they basically do kind of what like the Sound 4 did when the put up the big barrier seal, with Sarutobi and Orochimaru, except it's not as dangerous as that one. It's just a box of chakra, basically. And it's actually not even that dangerous, but because Naruto was so tired and could only make 2 clones, it took a little while to get the actual sealing down. But he got it down, and Yeah. Don't worry, guys. This isn't really that dangerous. It's just designed to keep you in there. Although as the Naruto comes up and starts to use his chakra, what's left of it, to start to manipulate. I can't close it down to make it smaller. You guys gonna give up? And to which Hinata and Sasuke are just like they want to at least try to get out of there. Sasuke really doesn't have any chakra left for a major jutsu, and Hinata is pretty much kaputs at this point. But they still try. Hinata can at least disrupt it a little bit, but ultimately there's nothing they realize they can do, and they're just Naruto's still like he's huffing and puffing again, but it's like then they're both like, darn it, it's like Proctor, we give up. The winner of the match in this in the semi-annual Chunin exam is Naruto Uzumaki. It's like and Minato. And I was like, smiling. He's trying to keep it in. But Kushina's just like, that's my boy! And Kisuke and the others are like, oh, good for Naruto. Naruto's like, yeah, boy's done pretty well. We'll be so take the opportunity to rest. We'll be announcing we'll be going over the results of the matches and see who we feel is ready to be a Chunin. Basically, they'll announce a Chunin because that was the thing. They didn't announce who the Chunins were until they went after Tsunade. And really, Shikamaru was the only one who won that. I think it'd be about a week's process because you got to delegate, you got to go over things. Week's process is about fine, and plus everyone will be rested up. Now, like I said, I think what was it like? Maybe even in the first video of this, there are who would win. There are what ifs that can drastically change, like a character, how they are going to handle events. But it doesn't change the overall structure of events per se. Sometimes, but not usually. And then there are what ifs that change the entire story frame of the what if. Because there's no sound invasion here. First off, Saratobi's still alive. He's retired, but he's still alive. If they honestly, if he needed to, he could come back and help out and fight. But because there's no invasion, the parameters of the village, the perimeters of the village, the defenses, nothing waned at all. If anything, they just built a much stronger foundation with the sand. So they have their foundation with the sand as their ally is much greater now. I don't see Kasame and Itachi. They'd have to sneak in, and then they would be, still have to be contending with Minato, which I don't know if. Here's the thing: Itachi and Kasame both say that Jiraiya, who, good, that's a question in and of itself. It was Jiraiya at that point stronger than Saratobi. That's a really good question. That's a versus in and of itself. Let me know in the comments below if you think Jiraiya at that point in the series was stronger than Saratobi at that point in the series. In his prime, no, I don't think Jiraiya was stronger than Saratobi. But as he was in the series there, because Itachi stated that, and Itachi and Kasame say that Kasame would not be able to beat Jiraiya. Like, he even stated he could not beat Jiraiya. And Itachi said it would probably be a draw, meaning they'd either just, they'd walk away or kill each other. And then that begs the question, how strong do you think Itachi is compared to the third? What I'm trying to get at here is that Minato, who's been alive for a decade and has been able to continue to train, grow, learn more Uzumaki arts, learn other things, like, that's a guy you don't want to F with, and I'm pretty sure Itachi and Kasame would not try to sneak into a village that was currently run by the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Uzumaki Namikaze, in this case. So, yeah, there's none of that. There's also no Tsunade retrieval arc. That is drastic here. At least not right now, there isn't. I'll be honest, I haven't thought that far ahead in the story if we're going to ever bring her back. But in terms of what happened in the canon, that doesn't happen at all. There is no Sound 4. There is no Sasuke retrieval arc. Nothing. Honestly, after the Sound Village bullshit, there's nothing that happens in the series and like the remainder of the part that actually happens, because that has to deal with Orochimaru, Itachi and Kasame, and Tsunade. All that. And without Orochimaru being around, there's no reason for that to happen. It's debatable whether or not even the Akatsuki would be formed. I'll say this. I think because we know Obito is still around here. He is still around. I think we do get a version of the Akatsuki, but it does not have Konan. Well, actually, it could have Konan. Now I think about it. But it doesn't. For instance, it doesn't have Nagato in it. It did not have Orochimaru in it. So we might be seeing it not drastically different, but a different version of the Akatsuki where Obito is legitimately the leader. So that being said, they're still not going to invade the Leaf. They're not stupid, especially with the Leaf as it is. So honestly, let's cut to that week after right now. Who made it to Chunin? Who did it? Actually, I don't have the list in front of me who was there, but so I'll tell you right now. Shikamaru, I think I actually don't think Shikamaru in this version would be made Chunin because he had to go up against Gaara of all things. With Tamari, it's one thing. It showed up just how calm, level-headed, and strategic he could be. But with Gaara, even though he could stay calm, strategic, and know when to just give up, I don't know if that was the right scenario to show off his abilities. Shino wasn't able to really show anything here, at least not anything that would entitle him to be a Chunin. Karin and we know Neji didn't make it in the original, and I don't think Neji showed anything here that would allow him to make it. Karin is a difficult one. I would say probably not, but you can make the argument for. Really, it's going to be the ones who got the most time to shine here were Naruto, were Sasuke, and were Hinata. And I forgot Kirishima in that too. Kirishima obviously got to show off a little bit. I honestly think it would be like the three. I think the team 7 is the only ones here, and Minato admits like I'm not trying to play favorites here because my son's on this team, but they had probably the most showings of anyone here, so and they showed off quite a bit. Actually, to be fair, I don't know if Sasuke would qualify either. Not because he didn't show off, a solid amount of his skill, but he showed off a solid amount of his skill against Gaara as well, and he still wasn't made Chunin. Granted, he got to show off a little bit more here, but still. So actually, I think we'd actually have to limit it. I think it would only be Hinata and Naruto who might make Chunin this year. So yeah, and so Team 7 would be a little uneven, but it is what it is. It doesn't take away from Sasuke's skill. In fact, if he were fully recovered, they were all at full health and all that, and they fought, Sasuke would have a good shot of beating Hinata. Hinata's dangerous in this version. Like, she's strong in this version. But I do think Sasuke could still beat Hinata straight one-on-one in a fight. But Naruto, obviously, being Uzumaki, is very creative in this thinking process. So this begs a very big question. What happens later on in the series? How does Shippuden, of all things, work? Because Shippuden, Jiraiya took Naruto for a 3-year training mission, and doesn't happen here. Uzumaki are in the village, all that. The Akatsuki aren't really moving, and they wouldn't be moving against Naruto anyway. They'd be moving against Kushina. So what happens here? So I think we'll take the last part of this what if, last 3-4 minutes, to talk about the 3 years. Because really, that's what would happen here. The Akatsuki are not going to make their move for a while. And who else is on the Akatsuki? Well, if there are other individuals in the Akatsuki, I will save that for the next part to figure it out. But really, yeah, there's a lot of training, growing. Naruto, I think, would probably make Naruto, Sasuke, and Neji, I think, all would make Jonin. Everyone else makes Chunin, no doubt. I think like those 3 are like the textbook I'm going to be a Jonin kind of character. Although I could see Karin being... No, actually, I could see Kurama being it, because I didn't forget Kurama. I could see Kurama being a Jonin, too. So they would probably all make Jonin. In terms of how strong they are, ooh, man, that's a tough thing to call. Because they're going to get a lot of training, a lot more elemental training. I know, I always forget. I know Hinata had, it's document or stated, Hinata had lightning chakra element. What else? I know she had another one too. Where? She had lightning and fire. Okay. Um, so she'd be training in that a bit to get more versatile. I think her and Naruto probably would start dating during the 3 years. Because I mean, it's I've been implying could be Ino, but Ino is more Ino. That's the best way to put it. Because Ino also did that kind of crap to Sasuke too, and guess what? He did not end up with Ino. Asai of all people ended up with Ino. Most people thought it was going to be Choji just because of the teammate and the fact that she was kind of making fun of him, but and then Choji winds up with the random Karui, which I mean, it's fine, but that came out of freaking nowhere. And I kind of like that though, honestly, Karui. She kind of like me. She did leave a bit of an impression. So yeah, Sasuke gets a lot more training with his Sharingan. He's got a fully mature Sharingan in this version. By the end, everyone else is just growing stronger as is. The adults, for what it's worth, are also very strong. Minato still stays strong. Minato has yet to have to intervene in anything yet, also. There's going to be some training for elemental training for Naruto. You can guess what that will be. Yeah, really. I mean, honestly. And so, yeah, I mean, over 3 years, spending enough time together, and I've implied, little flirtation things here or there with Hinata and Naruto. I think, yeah, they're sorry for disappointing anyone who was hoping for something else. I do think this is still another one where Naruto ends up with Hinata. And by the way, I don't just say that because I do love I actually really like the pairing of Hinata and Naruto. I did not like Sakura. I've been on record saying I did not like Sakura, but I didn't like Sakura in terms of pairing for Naruto because honestly, what's the best way to put that? I think I'll end this with the 3-year skip. And then on kind of my opinion on why I didn't want Naruto and Sakura together. I think I didn't want Naruto and Sakura together because of the impression she honestly left in part 1. Whereas Hinata had very little screen time. The impression you got is that she's a very sweet, nice person, and who just lacks confidence. However, with Sakura, she clearly wasn't a evil person. She wasn't even a bad person. She was a kid. She was a horny teen. And unfortunately, and she was apparently popular enough to think she was better than others. But that just did not endear her to the crowd very much, I think, or the audience. Besides the fact she didn't do much in part 1, I think her personality was really rubbing off and grating in a bad way. So when you get to part 2 where she has matured, but then you see she hasn't matured, she still slung Naruto. She's still she's still a bit on a high horse to some degree. Whereas Hinata clearly matured, but she didn't change fundamentally. She was still the good person she was in part 1, the nice person she was in part 1. And I think that's really what it was. This person who clearly cares about this individual, but doesn't have the confidence to actually talk about it, or talk to him about it, or address it, versus a person who did not treat this character very well. I mean, she didn't treat Naruto like the worst thing in the world most of the time, but she wasn't good to him. She wasn't nice to him a lot of the time. She matured as it went on in part 1. But yeah, it's you get this person who has improved, has grown up a bit, but still has a lot of those tendencies that just don't make her as likable as, say, someone who is just generally nice. Then I think that just makes her less endearing of a person to be with. Like, if I am in that universe, I am in their age group, I'm probably not attracted to Sakura. I am probably attracted to Tenten. I am probably attracted to Hinata. I don't know if I'd be attracted to I mean, physically, that's a different story, but I'm talking about, like, personality-wise. Hinata, Ino, or Hinata, Tenten. I mean, yeah. I mean, of the female group, main female ninja there, yeah, those would be the ones in that age group I would have been attracted to as a kid, as a teen. As an adult, that's different. Like May, Yeah, May. May Anko's kind of fun, but yeah, I'm not. I don't really dig on Anko for personally. I might have been attracted to Kashina. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Kurenai, yeah, I could have seen me being attracted to Kurenai, definitely. And then I mean, there's other ninja that are out there in like the older age groups, certainly. Um, but yeah, so yeah, that's just my take on the whole why I liked Hinata over Sakura better. And generally speaking, if I don't, and I've always stated this for anyone who's like, oh, no, you know, I was like, yeah, sorry. I'm not going to change a pairing for the legitimate sake of the story unless the story lends itself to changing the pairing. If you can follow that. Just because I can change a pairing doesn't mean that I will. Because that's not how the story probably would play out. Anyway, so I've gone overtime. Well, not really overtime. I don't really have any set time frame I do these on. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.